Good morning and welcome to a regular meeting of a panel of utility commissioners and staff of the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority held today, Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. By remote teleconference. My name is Chairman Marissa Gillette. I'm joined virtually today by my colleagues, the Vice Chairman Jack Rakowski and Commissioner Michael Karen. We have a regular calendar and a consent calendar in front of us today. So first item on today's regular calendar is docket number 171203 REO2, PURA's investigation into distribution system planning of the electric distribution companies. This reopener is focused on advanced metering infrastructure. We'll turn to Authority Staff Steve Capozzi to present the decision for the panel's consideration, please.
Good morning, Chairman Gillette. Thank you. Vice Chairman Pekoski, Commissioner Karen, good morning. In 2019, the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority embarked on its framework for an equitable modern grid initiative, which was to accelerate the modernization of Connecticut's electric grid in innovative, cost-effective, and equitable ways. At that time, the authority identified that the strategic and cost-effective deployment and utilization of advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI, was one of four key objectives to achieving a modernized grid. An AMI system includes smart meters, digital meters that can collect, store, process, and transmit electric system data at short time intervals. But an AMI system also includes supporting infrastructure to communicate, store, process, and use the vast amount of data that the smart meters make available. Recognizing the AMI will require significant capital investments by Connecticut's electric distribution companies over the coming years, investments which will be ultimately paid for by ratepayers, the authority conducted this proceeding to identify steps by which an AMI investment will realize its full potential and maximize ratepayer benefits for the significant cost. This decision is the culmination of that proceeding and outlines a number of guidelines that will help accomplish that objective. The guidelines will provide a regulatory roadmap for the EDCs, protect ratepayers, and ensure that this investment advances the economic, energy, and environmental policy goals of the state. In developing those, the decision was informed by an extensive public process, soliciting ideas from Connecticut stakeholders, as well as from leaders in the field, such as federal agencies, utilities outside of the state, and technology providers, all with experience deploying or utilizing AMI. The decision incorporates specific goals for AMI, such as enabling businesses to operate more efficiently, improving the utilization of the electric system, and increasing customer engagement with their own energy footprint. The framework also identifies key elements of AMI design and procurement practices and lays out the investments necessary to deploy AMI prudently, transparently, and effectively, and the benefits that can be made available and realized by customers. And it does so over a long-term planning horizon to make sure that the full lifecycle costs and benefits of AMI are considered and planned for. The decision outlines metrics for measuring, tracking, and making transparent both the costs of the AMI deployment as well as the benefit that the AMI deployment would provide to customers and to the state. The decision covered how best to engage with customers in the rollout of meters as well as the offerings enabled by AMI, such as time of use rates. The decision outlines privacy, access, and security policies for customer AMI data. The decision also reviews cybersecurity plans proposed by the electric distribution companies. The decision recognizes that the deployment of AMI will require ongoing work by the electric distribution companies, as well as by the authority in its oversight of the utilities and other interested stakeholders. Specifically, that includes the development and approval of time of use rates, the continual refinement of data sharing requirements, including data protection and cybersecurity practices, and the ongoing monitoring of AMI deployment, the monitoring to be a stakeholder process to include the authority and other relevant stakeholders, such as the OCC. Ongoing work will be done not only to make sure that the deployment is conducted in the most strategic and cost-effective manner possible, but also to make sure that as new technologies and capabilities emerge, and new ways for AMI to take advantage of those are considered and incorporated into the long-term planning. Lastly, in response to Eversource's request for an AMI cost tracker to enable annual recovery of AMI costs, the authority will initiate a contested proceeding contemporaneous with issuance of this decision to consider the establishment of such a mechanism. That proceeding will commence in short order and culminate in a final decision later this year. In summary, with the adoption of this decision, the authority would authorize the EDCs to proceed, or in the case of UI, who has widespread installation of first-generation meters already, to continue with AMI deployment, and would do so with a framework that ensures that the deployment of AMI benefits customers. Thank you for your time this morning, Commissioners. I recommend this decision to the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Capozzi. Is there a motion?
I move adoption, Madam Chairman.
I was second.
Thank you. The decision has been regularly moved and seconded. If there are no questions or comments, I'd ask Mr.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, please.
I did have some comments. So this is a very important document before us, and it's extensive, it's broad, it's wide-ranging, and it's an important part of the authority's work. I appreciate and respect all of the time and hard work put forward in this docket by our PURA staff and all the parties, interveners, and stakeholders, and the foreshadow of much more to come. As only one of our EDCs must deploy an extraordinary amount of infrastructure, an extraordinary amount of capital to be expended, about $400 million over the next 5 years. We have, as Mr. Capozzi, Happy New Year. Mr. Capozzi mentioned, there's added language in the final decision concerning cost recovery and in other sections. I hope that illustrates the authority's recognition of the extraordinary position the separate places on our largest EDC in trying to attract and deploy capital for this ambitious but critical and grid modernization endeavor. I feel there are other areas where we can further pursue some of the issues that Eversource, for instance, had put forward before this final decision. And I'll continue to make sure that we work together to make this AMI project work, because so much depends on its ultimate success. We need to get it right. And with that, Madam Chairman, thank you, and I look forward to supporting the decision.
Madam Chairman, very briefly, if I may, I too want to congratulate our staff led by Mr. Capozzi for a job very well done. This is a huge docket, a huge undertaking, and it's to me, it's another historic day for PURA. We've been trying to get AMI going for a very long time, and it's here. The roadmap is set. We need collaboration, communication with the stakeholders, with the companies, with the ratepayers. We don't want to surprise anybody. We want everybody to know what's coming. But I think this is an excellent document moving forward for the ratepayers of the state of Connecticut. And I thank all those involved in putting it forth today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate those comments. Mr. Capozzi, you did yeoman's work almost exclusively by yourself on this, and I think you're to be commended on it. So with that, I'd ask Mr. Bumpin to take the roll, please.
Chairman Gillette?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Karen?
Yes.
Thank you. The decision's been adopted. We'll move to the second item on the agenda, docket number 230934, PURA's implementation of the Stakeholder Group Compensation Provisions of Section 15 of Public Act 23-102. We'll turn to authority staff, Ms. Danielle Chalou, to present the decision for the panel's consideration, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. In this decision, the authority establishes the Stakeholder Group Compensation Program as directed by the General Assembly in Connecticut General Statute, subsection 16-9C. The program's objective is to encourage and support participation by traditionally underrepresented residential and small business customers in proceedings before the authority. This decision formalizes an application and approval process for stakeholder groups seeking compensation in eligible PURA dockets. PURA will be able to distribute $1.2 million per calendar year made available by statute to stakeholder groups. Compensation is available for groups representing the interests of residential utility customers residing in environmental justice communities or receiving protection due to hardship, or to groups representing certain small business utility customers. Groups will be able to use the funding to pay for legal fees, expert witness fees, and other reasonable costs of preparing for and participating in PURA proceedings. Key elements of this decision include the application process and accompanying forms for the program, guidance on how applications from multiple groups with substantially similar interests will be considered, namely evaluating those applications on a case-by-case basis in the context of the relevant proceeding, A discussion of the authority's approach to educational training, including resources that are available from both the authority and the Office of Consumer Counsel. The authority finds that training may be required for certain groups to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, and the procedures by which stakeholder groups will be awarded compensation and be paid. The authority also sets forth the mechanism by which public service companies may recover the cost of compensation they are ordered to pay through this program. This decision is a step towards increasing equitable stakeholder participation in authority proceedings, and staff recommend adoption of the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move adoption.
And second.
Thank you. The decision has been regularly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
Madam Chairman, again, very briefly, again, very well thought out decision. Again, a lot of work has gone into this, and while it's not exactly novel, it certainly is not an uncommon, not a common practice among many regulatory authorities throughout the country. So this will give a lot of people a lot more visibility into the work that we do, and it'll be a perfect complement as we go forward with grid modernization programs and public performance-based regulation. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, then Mr. Bumpin, please take the roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The decision has been adopted. We'll turn next to the consent calendar, in which there are 4 items. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move adoption of today's consent calendar, items 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I second it.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Bumpin, please take the roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been adopted in full. That brings us to the end of today's regular meeting agenda. We will adjourn and reconvene next Wednesday, January 10th at 10 a.m. by remote teleconference. Thank you.